28-year-old Brandon's fatal shooting on a movie set last week was an accident, but now there is even talk of murder.
Whoever finds this, please make an attempt to get it to them.
It's the Blue Blazer! The Blue Blazer descending!
Owen Hart was set to make an entrance from the ceiling, and he fell from the ceiling. And I have the unfortunate responsibility to let everyone know that Owen Hart has died.
This iceberg is a bit different from other iceberg lists. The way this iceberg works is, instead of subjects being more unknown the further down they are, the layers of this iceberg group together lost media based around the same idea. For example, the first layer is all about movies that never ended up releasing for one reason or another. Then the next layer is all about home movies, and the next layer is live TV broadcasting incidents, so on and so forth. There will be chapters in this video, so if you want to skip to say the final layer that's all about urban legends or the sixth layer that's all about murders, feel free to do so. Let's begin. All-American Massacre is an unreleased movie in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre film series that was said to be released sometime in 2000 but was never released even though it was completely finished. Some speculated that they were scared to release it due to the fear of it further damaging the series after the last movie, Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Next Generation, being bashed by critics and moviegoers. However, according to William Hooper, the director, this was not the case and the movie never was released due to financial problems during post-production. The Cuckoo Clocks of Hell is a 2011 movie directed by Ron Atkins, who is very well known for creating underground horror movies that are very offensive, whether that's due to the slurs the characters will say or what they do, such as take part in necrophilia and other acts similar to those. There was very little I could find on this movie. I only found 2 reviews of this movie. One review was posted on September 5th, 2011, 5 days after the movie came out, and the other was posted August 25th, 2015, almost 4 years exactly since the movie came out. From the look of things, the only way you could view this film is by purchasing it on DVD, but it seems to be long gone when it comes to being able to buy it anywhere, and only a couple people have it, either those who made the movie or those who purchased it on DVD. Freaks is a 1932 movie that was directed by Todd Browning that is about a trapeze artist named Cleopatra who marries a midget for his wealthy inheritance, then runs away with her real lover who is named Hercules. The way this movie ends shows Cleopatra running from the freaks. And by the way, that's what the movie calls them. I myself am not labeling these people as freaks. I just want to make that clear. She runs under a tree, then looks back to see them gaining on her. She screams, and that's the last we see of her, until the final scene shows her as the Duck Lady, where she is being viewed and she quacks and the movie ends. Now this ending is very abrupt, and this is due to a lot of people being upset over the original ending of the movie. The original ending was supposed to show the tree she was under get struck by lightning and fall on top of her body while the freaks swarm her body. The movie would then cut to her as the human duck. Next to her, her lover Hercules, who has been castrated and is singing in a super high-pitched female voice while Cleopatra quacks. Obviously, people weren't too happy with this ending, and so the movie got cut down. and supposedly the movie is missing roughly 30 minutes of footage that most likely will never see the light of day. The Black Friday cut is a storyboard of Disney's Toy Story before the characters go to Pizza Planet. The reason the storyboard is special is because this Black Friday storyboard was made with a different version of Woody in mind, where he was much more of a jerk, where he deliberately throws Buzz out of the window so Andy would take Woody instead.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah, there you go.
Whoa! Ho!
What? What are you, what's everybody looking at? What? Hey, he slipped. I tried to, I couldn't hold that. It was he slipped. Hey, I don't see him. I think he fell onto the street.
Yeah, he was as good as roadkill. He ain't going to pizza now.
Woody, you deliberately threw Buzz out the window.
Event Horizon is a 1997 horror sci-fi film that had to get cut down due to fear of the movie being NC-17, which basically means you are not allowed to view it unless you're over the age of 17. The deleted scene shows a bloody creature climbing down a ladder upside down. I'm not too sure why this would have pushed the film into NC-17 territory, because although times were different back then, I don't see what about this scene is so horrible, where you have to be 17 or older to view this movie. Much like the Black Friday cut for Toy Story, this lost media is a storyboard for an episode of Rugrats. For those who don't know, a storyboard jam is a way for animators to relax and let off some stress by playing a game with each other. One animator will start out by creating an animation cell of the character of the show, then pass their cell on to another animator, and they will have to continue the story with their own animation cells, then they keep going until the storyboard is completed. When it comes to Rugrats, however, it seems to be that the animators had a bit too much fun with this idea, because the things they drew were pretty horrible. Now, this is considered lost media because a big portion of the storyboard doesn't exist, only the first part of it does. The first part of the storyboard shows Tommy giving Angelica a cup filled with chemicals and dog food in it. Then Dee Dee shows up stating that Tommy shouldn't have juice before bed. Stu then comes in and pushes Dee Dee over and forces Tommy to give him the glass, all while Angelica watches and says how much she loves him and that she loves how forceful Stu is. With Stu responding to her by calling her the C word and saying how she will be quote unquote daddy's little girl soon. I'm sorry, I just can't. And this is all we have for evidence and proof this is real, and the rest of the storyboard is lost forever and all we have is rumors about it. It's speculated that the storyboard continues with Stu showing Angelica his privates and she starts stroking his privates, and the rest of the comic is legitimately just sex between Angelica and Stu. With how horrible this is, I'm very glad the rest of the storyboard is gone, and I really hope it is destroyed for good. And by the way, the supposed name for the storyboard was called Incredible. Cannibal Holocaust is a movie from 1985 that has been titled one of the most controversial films ever made. This being due to the fact on how real the movie seems and just how uncensored the movie actually was. The movie is a fake documentary that shows a tribe on an island being killed in different ways. The movie supposedly had a piranha torture scene where someone was lowered into piranha-filled waters and their legs were being eaten. And although proven to be planned, the director and actors of the movie claimed it was never filmed. Then, somewhat recently, an extra from the movie came forward and said the scene was indeed filmed, and a still from the scene started circulating around, but still no one knows if the full scene exists. Manhunt 2 is a game that released on PSP, PlayStation 2, the Wii, and Microsoft Windows. The game was made by Rockstar Games, who also made Grand Theft Auto. Manhunt is well known for having a lot of hate behind it due to its gruesome nature. Not just that, but the first game was linked to a murder in the UK, so the series already was not very well liked in the general public. There were different ways that the character you play as can kill his enemies, and you are shown these through different execution animations. On all versions of the game, these animations are censored to not show nearly as much, but the beta version of the game shows the full animation, and these animations show their heads bursting and are just a lot more graphic in general. Aaron Ralston is a mechanical engineer and the mountaineer who found himself stuck in a slot canyon at the Blue John Canyon in Utah in 2003. Aaron's right arm ended up getting stuck in between a rock and was unable to move. Aaron was stuck for 5 days until he was able to break the bones in his arm and amputate his arm with his pocket knife. During these 5 days, Aaron recorded videos for his family. A few clips have been released, but most of the videos never have seen the light of day, due to Aaron making them for his loved ones and not wanting the world to see them. And in 2010, a movie by the name of 127 Hours starring James Franco came out, and was a film adaptation of what happened to Aaron. Heartbeat in the Brain is a documentary directed by Amanda Felding. I'm not too sure when the film was made, however I've seen release years as early as 1970 and as late as 1978. But from what I can gather, the film was made in 1970, and in 1978 the film was screened to an audience. The documentary supposedly shows Amanda performing a DIY brain surgery and drills into her own head with a surgical drill. The reason for this is because Amanda was performing a practice called trepanation, which is a medical procedure used commonly in the very early days of medical science, and it's as simple as creating a hole inside the human skull. After watching some interviews, Amanda claims that all that really changed after drilling a hole in her head is a bit more relaxation and different dreams. Now, is it worth it? That's probably highly debatable. Hey everyone, so ignore how I look. I've been working on this for a while, haven't taken a shower or slept for a while, but I think this is interesting. So I wrote the script before everything, right? So I wrote the script for Heartbeat in the Brain, and it was considered lost, like partially found, like only a few clips. And when I was looking for footage to put in the video, I came across the footage I showed, sorry. And it seems to be almost like the full video. And it was only posted like 2 months ago and only had like 200 views. So I think I might have actually found most of the footage. I don't know how much was known or how much was shown, but there does seem to be a few extra clips that nobody's ever seen before. So I don't want to get too cocky, but I do think that I might have found like a good chunk of the video. I'll show the original video right here, and I posted on Reddit, the Lost Media the Lost Media section, and a lot of people said they've never seen this, so I hope this is actually a big deal. But yeah, just wanted to get that out of the way, thought this was really cool, and enjoy the rest of the video. Mark Condit was a man who committed multiple bombings in Texas that ended the lives of 2 people, and also ended up ending his own life in a suicide bombing. Police apparently found a 25-minute long video that had Mark explain most of the details about his bombings, such as how the bombs were made. However, he never gave a motive or a reason on why he did it. Police also found a list that had different names and addresses, which they believed to be his planned targets. As for the 25-minute video, it's definitely real. I'm not sure why police would just lie about this detail, but it most likely will never see the light of day due to it being evidence. Cameraheads is a creepypasta that originated in 2008 on 4chan. The story goes that a man discovered a backpack that contained 2 items, a broken camera and a note that read, "I killed a camera head." The man then starts researching camera heads until eventually being stalked by one. This creepypasta has a few screenshots to prove it's real, but besides that, there isn't too much known. There is a video that has since been found that was posted in 2009 by the same name. However, I'm not sure if this is the original video or just a fan creation. The Virginia Tech shooting was a horrible shooting that happened on April 16, 2007 at Virginia Tech that left 33 people dead, including the shooter himself. Before the shooting, the shooter Song Hao Cho sent a manifesto to MSNBC that was described as a multimedia manifesto. The tech documents of this manifesto is not lost, and I'll show the pages now if you would like to pause the video and read them. However, this manifesto had multiple different medias with it, so besides the text, the rest of the manifesto is either lost or locked up, not to be seen by the public. The Basement Tapes is a collection of home videos filmed by Eric Harris and David Klebold. The tapes show them making school projects and home videos. However, the way they act in these videos, you can definitely tell they are a bit aggressive. What is able to be seen is mostly just videos of them at school. However, a huge majority of these tapes take place at their home, where they describe and show them making bombs, and also show them saying goodbye to their family and friends. Albert Fish was a child murderer and cannibal that committed at least 3 child murders from 1924 to 1928. After committing 2 of his crimes, he wrote letters to the victim's family describing in great detail about what he did and how he did it. I won't read what he wrote or really show it because it's honestly super sickening and absolutely horrible, and I've talked about some horrible things on my Iceberg videos, but this one might just be the worst. Albert got caught due to authorities tracking down where the letters he sent came from. And while on trial, Albert wrote a few final letters that supposedly went to even more detail on what happened and what he did. Albert's attorney stated that he has never seen or read anything more terrible in his life, and showed great interest that no one should ever be able to see them. Albert received the death penalty and was executed in 1936 via the electric chair. His horrible crimes earned him different nicknames such as the Brooklyn Vampire and the Gray Man. His final letters are locked away and will most likely never be seen. There is only 2 people who ever viewed the letters, Albert Fish and his attorney. The Blair Witch kidnapping is something that happened back in 2002. The kidnapping was filmed and was made by a group of late teens and young adults who kidnapped their friend, and everyone was in on it except the girl they kidnapped. The whole goal was to do things to scare her and film her reactions, with their goal being to make a realistic Blair Witch style found footage movie. The whole thing was filmed, and supposedly the kidnapper says things such as how they're going to bury her alive and she would be happy that she feels pain because it will be the last time she feels anything. Now, there was an actual whole trial about this, and supposedly the girl who got kidnapped knew it was a prank based off how she was acting, but at other times she seems genuinely upset and scared for her life. The film was used as evidence in the trial, although the film itself or video of the film existing has yet to be seen, besides by a very small amount of people. Sadistic Bitch is a short film made by Brad Jones, who is more well known for his internet persona as the Cinema Snob. The film was made in 2002 and is about a crazy girlfriend that finds out her boyfriend's cheating on her. So she does the most logical thing and ties him up, after drugging him of course, and makes him a girl with various power tools and gardening equipment. The film also showed some really gross stuff in comparison to Brad's other movies, such as someone peeing on someone's face and someone supposedly eating feces. It's reported that the film was stolen from Brad before he was able to send it out to anyone, and although Brad stated in 2018 that he might still own a few seconds of raw footage, it's highly unlikely and he really doesn't care enough to check. I'm sure a good majority of you have heard of the Netflix documentary called Tiger King. Tiger King is based off two people, Joe Exotic and Carole Baskin. Joe is well known for breeding tigers and selling them illegally. He also owned a zoo that housed these exotic tigers, and a lot of stuff happened, such as employees at the zoo got paid a measly paycheck of about $130 a week. An employee also got one of their arms bitten off. Another one of their employees was sentenced to 100 years in jail due to basically being a drug kingpin, but got let out early, and of course, the whole scandal about if Carole Baskin actually killed her husband or not. But if I went into depth about the whole story about Tiger King, I would basically just be remaking the documentary, so if the story interests you, you should definitely check out said documentary. What I'm here to talk about is a supposed 60,000 hours of film that doesn't exist anymore, that belongs to Joe Exotic. Joe owned a studio that contained tons and tons of videos of supposed different things. Some claim that some of the films showed videos of him killing some of the tigers. Some claim that he had videos of him destroying effigies of Carole Baskin, which, for those who don't know what an effigy is, it's basically a life-size voodoo doll that is made in the image of someone. However, for the most part, no one knows if any of this is true. Besides some used footage that was supposedly in the studio and survived, making its way into the documentary, no one knows exactly what was in those films and if the studio fire even existed or if it was just created for buzz. Handy Manny is a kids' TV show that centers around the main character, Handy Manny, who goes and solves problems and fixes things while being accompanied by his talking tools. I remember watching a few episodes back in the day and I remember having a good time, but for some kids in New Jersey, they watched something a bit different. I'm not exactly sure the date of which this occurred because multiple articles were created different years, but the earliest I found was in 2007. The articles don't go into depth about what exactly was shown, so I'm not sure if instead of Handy Manny it was just straight up porn, or if it was a similar to say the Max Headroom incident where the Handy Manny show was on, then got hacked and showed the porn. I'm not too sure. However, no matter what happened, there is no footage of this incident, and besides the interviews with a few people who viewed it in the articles, we don't have too much information. Supposedly the problem was only in New Jersey and was due to a quote-unquote programming error. I'm not tech savvy, but I have no idea how a programming error would cause a random porn clip to be broadcasted on TV, unless someone at the office was watching it, but then again, I don't know. Sue Lightning was a trans woman who participated in cam shows, which is basically live porn. One of her last videos was her live and her claiming how she hated doing what she did and she wished she never joined the business. She goes into detail about how with trans women, there are tons of people who peer pressure them into doing cam shows or just porn in general, and she explains her feelings and concerns and says, quote, "It feels amazing not to have to get naked for money." And although this video isn't her last one that the Iceberg is referring to, it definitely shows us into her thought process. In her last video, she decides to cut the cord and decides to end her cam show career, and left, and from what I can find, no footage of this exists and nobody knows where Sue Lightning is. Double Dare was a super popular kids TV show that aired from 1986 to 1993. The show was all about kids running an obstacle course, and the better they did on the obstacle course, the more prizes they would win. Well, believe it or not, but putting kids on a timed obstacle course could lead to bad injuries. However, from what I could find, very few kids got hurt on the obstacle course, and I could really only find 2 instances where something actually bad happened. The first big injury was with a kid who suffered with glass bones, which is exactly what it sounds like. someone who has very fragile bones. Now, to be on the show, the parents or guardians of the kid had to sign medical papers that proved the kids were able to compete, but the parents of this kid apparently lied and didn't mention he had glass bones. So when it came time to run the course, he slipped and his bone went right through his arm. Later on, after looking more into it, it turns out that the kid did indeed have broken bones in the past. 17 of them to be exact. The second injury was with a kid climbing up a ladder and somehow fell backwards, and the crew on set said it looked as if he had snapped his neck, and one crew member stated that they actually thought he was dead. Now, that's all the information I could find on injuries with the show, and I'm assuming this is what the iceberg was referring to, so therefore these incidents must have been filmed at some point, but for obvious reasons, probably have either been destroyed or locked away. Owen Hart was a Canadian wrestler who was very well loved and respected by many. In 1999, Owen had a scheduled WWE match that was a live event and was broadcasted on TV. Owen was supposed to be hoisted down wearing a harness and his blue blazer getup, but sadly this did not go as planned. Owen's harness snapped and he fell all the way down into the ring, basically dying on impact. Now, this was a live event, so the cameras were filming. However, for respect of Owen and his family, the film has never been shown and never will. After 15 minutes of medical professionals trying to save Owen's life, they rushed him out of the ring and the show continued. And later in the broadcast, the commentator had to announce that Owen did indeed pass away. This is obviously saddening, and Owen seemed like a super down-to-earth amazing person, and this accident could have been easily avoided. Droz was the nickname for a wrestler named Darren Drozdov, who before becoming a wrestler was a football player in the NFL. Droz was going against another wrestler named D'Lo Brown, who he has gone against a good amount of times in the past. D'Lo had a move called the Powerbomb that was his iconic wrestling move, and was about to use it on Droz. However, something happened and D'Lo couldn't get a good grip on Droz, and Droz fell right on his head and neck, fracturing 2 vertebrae in his neck. Besides a small clip that was taken right before Droz hitting the floor, and a small clip of him on a stretcher, the footage has never been seen, and most likely never will. Droz was left quadriplegic, which means he couldn't feel anything from the neck down and could barely move. Luckily, later on, he was able to regain some feelings in his arms and parts of his upper body, although sadly he was still pretty much numb. The footage is locked away alongside Owen Hart's tape with instructions of the tape to never be viewed, copied, or destroyed. Kevin Whitrick was an electrical engineer that sadly passed away in 2007 due to suicide. Kevin joined a chat room that had 60 other people in it. The point of this chat room was to go at each other by making fun of them or saying rude things. Kevin got up on a chair and punched a hole in his ceiling, then made a noose and hung himself. While he did this, people watched and kept edging him on by saying things such as, "Just get it over with." A select few did try to get him to stop, and one person was able to get the police there, but sadly the police were too late because Kevin was already dead. Due to this incident being in an online chat room, many people could have recorded this, but no footage of this has ever been shown, and if anyone did record it, they most likely deleted it because after his suicide, police questioned the people in the chat room and could have caused many to panic and get rid of the footage. Jerome Rodell was an author and publisher who founded a company called Rodell Inc. Jerome appeared on a show called The Dick Cavett Show in 1971. Jerome kept talking about how healthy he was. He said things such as, "I'm in such good health that I fell down a long flight of stairs yesterday and I laughed all the way." However, after preaching his healthy life, Jerome suffered a fatal heart attack. The episode was filmed, but everyone on set decided it would be best to not show the tape. Back in 1972, a young rising actress named Maggie De La Riva was gang raped by 3 men, Jamie Jose, Basala Pinada, and Eduardo Equano. After the rape, Maggie reported the men and the men were taken into custody. The 3 men were sentenced to death via the electric chair. The execution was actually broadcast live on radio, but no known recording has been found. 2 of the men were seen crying their eyes out while being strapped to the chair, both in a state of shock. But Eduardo Aquino appeared to be the only man who felt remorse, with his final words being, "Avoid bad companions and obey your parents." Christina Chubak was a television news host. She struggled with severe depression, especially due to the news she learned that she could no longer have kids. This, along with her being very introverted when it came to talking to men, she felt there was no reason to be alive. So on July 15th, 1974, Christina went live, reporting during the morning, which she never did. After reading the script, she went off course, reading something different. She then drew a gun and shot herself. The audio is supposedly found, and that's what I just played for you. I'm not 100% sure if it's real or not, but it does kind of sound real, and although footage supposedly was found, it was proven to be fake. Although the audio and footage does exist, and just like the Owen Hart tape, it is locked away, never to be seen again. Brandon Lee was the son of the incredibly famous Bruce Lee, and although not as famous, Brandon was still very popular and was loved by everyone. Just like his dad, Brandon was an actor appearing in films such as Laser Mission, Rapid Fire, and The Crow. During production for The Crow, Brandon was filming a scene where his character gets shot. When it comes to movies, they often use what is called blanks with their guns. However, somehow, instead of a blank, a real bullet was in the gun, and instead of Brandon acting as if he got shot, he actually did. Many believe this was a murder attempt because, well, how do you mix up a blank with a real bullet? The whole thing was filmed for the movie, but the tape has yet to see the light of day, for obvious reasons. Timothy Treadwell is someone you may have heard of, but by a different name. Timothy was well known as the Grizzly Man, a man who thought bears to be misunderstood, and his goal was to study and be around bears to prove that they were indeed misunderstood. Timothy was supposed to take a flight back to his hometown, but ended up not doing so for a variety of reasons. So he decided to head back to Katmai National Park during September when all the bears are super hungry and getting ready for winter. It probably wasn't the best idea to head back to the bears, but yet that's exactly what Timothy and his girlfriend did. Due to a new rule stating you must move your camp every 5 days, Timothy decided to take his girlfriend deep into the park where the owners of the park couldn't find him. Not just that, but he also decided not to bring bear spray or use an electric fence around his camp because he thought it would be not fair for the bears. What ended up happening was Timothy and his girlfriend were eaten alive by bears, and it just so happens that Grizzly Man's camera was filming. However, during the attack, the lens cap was on, so only the audio was recording. Although a very saddening story, I can't help to feel this death was something that could have been easily avoided. But Timothy lived by a set of rules, and he said that he would die for those bears, and in the end, that's exactly what happened. Timothy Wilkes is a 20-year-old man who was filming a robbery prank for YouTube, but sadly ended up getting shot and killed during the filming of it. Timothy's plan for this YouTube video was to chase a family down while wearing a mask and holding a butcher's knife. I guess with the goal to scare them, then tell them it was just a prank. However, unlike almost all other prank videos, Timothy didn't fake it, so he actually chased down a random family that had no idea who he was, and therefore ended up getting shot. And this was for a YouTube video, so the whole thing was recorded. However, the actual film itself has never been released and is either destroyed or hidden somewhere, never to be viewed again. And supposedly, audio of this recording got released. His last words were him crying, saying, "It's just a prank." However, this has not been proven to be true or false. Much like the Grizzly Man, Steve Irwin loved animals. He was well liked and even appeared on a lot of TV shows and was in tons of magazines and news articles. His love for animals got him the nickname of the Crocodile Hunter. Steve owned a zoo, and besides doing documentaries and videos on the side, that was the main thing he did. While filming an episode on manta rays, Steve told the cameraman to not stop filming no matter what. And that's exactly what they did. Sadly, Steve was pierced by a stingray barb and started bleeding out. Steve looked at the cameraman and said his final words, "I'm dying." The whole thing was filmed, and the film is in the hands of his family, who have stated they will never release it. Osama bin Laden was the mastermind behind tons of horrible terrorist attacks against the USA and other parts of the world. For those who don't know, he was raided and killed back in 2011. There was a huge debate when Osama was killed if his body should be shown, which ended up not happening for a few unidentified reasons. Osama's body was buried at sea, but oddly enough, the reasons behind this are very blurry. Almost all news outlets stated that they buried him at sea because that's Muslim tradition. However, after a quick Google search, the only time Muslims would be buried at sea is if their death was out on sea, like if they were on a boat or raft, which Osama was not. However, even more strange is that there are a few different places that news and other people have claimed his body was buried. Most well known is his burial at sea, but there are other outlets that have spoken about him being buried in the mountains, and others claim he's still in hiding. And no known footage has been found that shows where exactly he was buried, or if he ever was killed in the first place. The Tilikum tapes is tapes that recorded one of SeaWorld's most famous orcas, that went by the name Tilikum. These tapes are videos that showed Tilikum killing the trainers that were with him, such as trainer Don Bradshaw, who was killed in front of a live audience, some of which were filming. This incident sparked a huge debate whether or not SeaWorld should still be in business, not just for the safety of the trainers, but for the animals as well. Later on after this incident, a movie by the name of Blackfish came out based off Tilikum, which further fed the idea of boycotting and shutting down SeaWorld. The family of Don went out saying that they did not want the footage to be shown to the public at all, which so far has been the case. And besides footage before the incident, nothing has been shown publicly out of respect for Don. The word babushka comes from Russia, which means old woman or grandmother. Back in 1963, the 35th President of the United States, John F. Kennedy, was assassinated in front of hundreds of people and his family. The recording of this is well known, and lots of recordings can be found here on YouTube. However, one film of it has yet to be found anywhere. In almost all pictures and videos of the JFK assassination, one person is seen in picture after picture. A lady wearing sunglasses, a brown trench coat, and a Russian scarf. Her nickname is the Babushka Lady. While looking at these pictures of the Babushka Lady, you can see that she was taking pictures and maybe even recording. And oddly enough, after the president was shot and everyone started running for cover, she can be seen staying for a little while longer, and when finally seeing her flee, she does not appear to be in any distress, and seems very calm even with what's happening around her. The Babushka Lady has never been fully identified, and her and the pictures and videos she was taking have never been found. The Skyway Man is a 1920 pseudo-documentary film about stunt flights. The film is nowhere to be found, and no footage of the movie can be found besides some stills on a few newspaper articles that show reviews of the movie. However, much worse than the movie being lost was the two main actors' lives being lost, Omar Locklear and Milton Elliott. The scene in which they lost their lives was a stunt scene where the two actors were supposed to simulate a plane crash with flares strapped to the plane to give the effect that the plane was on fire. While filming, the two actors instructed the movie crew to turn off all the lights when they were coming close to the floor. However, the crew did not listen and kept them on, leading to the actors being blinded by the stage lights and not knowing how close they were to hitting the floor. and sadly, instead of simulating a plane crash, they were in one. Both died right away, and Omar's girlfriend witnessed the death of her boyfriend and let out a heart-wrenching scream. Both the scream and the death of the actors were left in the film, leading to almost all the people who viewed the film left in shock. Twist X was the name of a group of storm chasers who worked for the Discovery Channel known as Storm Chasers. In 2013, a tornado by the name of El Reno touched down in El Reno, Oklahoma. The tornado quickly became huge, becoming an EF3 tornado that was roughly 2 miles in diameter. The group at Twist X started chasing the tornado. The tornado was very unpredictable and would change speed and direction multiple times during its 40-minute lifespan. While chasing the tornado, the team ended up getting too close and got sucked into the tornado. 2 of the team members, Carl Young and Paul Samaras, was pulled out from the vehicle, while the 3rd member, Tim Samaras, which was Paul's dad, was left inside the vehicle. All 3 were later found dead. As I said earlier, they were part of the show called Storm Chasers, so of course the whole incident was filmed. However, out of respect for all their families, the footage has never been shown to the public. I'm sure most of you have heard of the death of Kobe Bryant, or at least heard of him. Kobe Bryant was one of, if not the most well-known and recognized basketball player of all time, and for the most part was well loved, especially to the general public. Sadly, in January of 2020, while on a helicopter flight, Kobe and his daughter Gianna, along with 7 other people on the plane, died when their helicopter went spiraling down and crashed. There has been some footage found that shows the helicopter before the crash. However, unless someone from inside the helicopter was filming, no footage of the wreck was recorded, and still to this day, no one knows 100% why the helicopter came down in the first place. The most well-known theory is that the man controlling the helicopter went into the clouds and fog, and got disoriented and lost control of the helicopter. However, we don't know if that's the case, and most likely never will. Dreamworld is a very popular amusement park in Australia. One of the most well-liked rides at Dreamworld was a ride known as River Rapids, a ride where multiple people would be in a raft and would go down a river. The ride was considered one of the park's safest rides, but sadly this name did not stay, because in 2016, 4 people were killed while on the ride. The ride ended up malfunctioning, and a raft ended up flipping over and throwing 2 people into the water, and then ended up trapping 2 more people underwater in a conveyor belt. Earlier that day, the ride was having maintenance problems, and the ride needed to be drained. It was then refilled and deemed safe. Just shortly after this ride opened, 4 people were killed. Grant Thompson was a very well-known YouTuber who was the main person behind the channel The King of Random. Sadly, Grant ended up passing away due to a paragliding accident, when his paraglider collapsed and he ended up falling to his death. The reason he was able to be found was because Grant kept a GPS with him, just in case something like this did happen. The King of Random YouTube channel still makes content, but sadly will never be the same without Grant. Yellowstone National Park is a very beautiful national park that is home to beautiful animals, hot springs, geysers, and acid pools. The acid pools aren't really just acid, they have their name due to how hot the pools are, with some reaching more than 200 degrees. But they do actually kind of get acidic with a pH level of around 1.6. Back in 2016, a man visiting Yellowstone wanted to see just what the pools of water felt like. As he slowly made his way down to the water, his sister filmed him, but what was supposed to be a family memory turned into a family tragedy, when the man Colin Scott slipped and fell into the 200-degree acidic water. Colin was basically boiled alive while his sister watched. Now, I'm not sure if his sister kept filming while he was in the water, or if she stopped and went to go get help. But no matter what, she filmed the moments before her brother's life was taken in a horrible way. Dana Kimpson was a young girl who sadly passed away in a fatal car crash one late night. But what's worse is somehow a firefighter who was a first responder ended up filming the crash on his own phone and sent the footage around to friends and family. and the video ended up spreading like crazy and was even seen by her parents. Although the footage was sent to tons of people and seen by a lot, the footage is either gone forever or only a few people have it, most likely for the better. Noah's Ark was a 1928 movie that was based upon the biblical story of Noah's Ark, a boat that was made to withstand the world being flooded and held 2 of every animal. The infamous scene in the movie showing water being poured over people was a real stunt. There was no CGI back in these days, so everything was made with practical effects. During the scene, the director of the movie disregarded safety procedures in favor of the film looking better. So during the scene, actors were not made aware of just how strong the water being poured on them was. So the struggles you see while these actors are running are not fake. They are actually running for their lives. Lots of people were injured and 3 were sadly killed, all because the director wanted the movie to look more real in favor of the safety of his actors. Tony Rene was a racer who competed in Indy Lights and Indy Racing. During a tire test, Tony accidentally crashed into a wall and was killed on impact. It's reported that he hit the wall so hard that not only did parts of his car fly into the stands, but so did parts of Tony himself. This was all captured on tape but was never shown to anyone. Schlitterbahn is the name of a well-known water park in Texas and other locations, but a Kansas location was home of Verrückt, the world's tallest water slide. The slide was 167 feet tall and went up to 70 miles per hour. The name Verrückt is German for insane. Sadly, in 2016, a young boy by the name of Caleb ended up getting decapitated due to a malfunction with the ride. Earlier before Caleb went on, multiple people claimed their seatbelts came loose during the ride. However, no one at the park stopped the ride or tried fixing it. Later in the day, Caleb went on the ride. What ended up happening was Caleb's seatbelt broke and the ride ended up launching him into the air, which his head then struck a metal bar that was holding up a safety net, which ended up breaking his neck and decapitating him. His brother went on the ride before him and was watching them go down. He watched his brother's lifeless body roll down the slide. Issei Sagawa was a Japanese cannibal who was found to have murdered and eaten Renee Hartfeld. On top of being a cannibal and murderer, he was also a necrophiliac, although I don't believe he did anything sexual to her, but I could be wrong. He killed Renee, who was a girl from his college, by shooting her in the head. He then proceeded to dissect her body and keep her in his fridge, while eating pieces of her over the span of a few days. The cops caught him and found some leftover remains of her inside his fridge. He was then brought back to Japan and was in a pre-trial detention for 2 years, until he ended up being set free due to loopholes with international laws. I'm not sure what those loopholes are, but the fact that he was set free seriously makes no sense. Not only has he admitted tons of times to what he did, but he also drew pictures and wrote what he did in a journal. And on top of that, he filmed the whole thing. He filmed multiple videos of him cooking parts of her and eating her. The footage has never been shown publicly, and even with all this evidence, he is still a free man. Back in 2015, 2 girls were found dead, Liberty German and Abigail Williams. The 2 girls went out to play on an old trail and some train tracks. However, they never came back. After police started searching, both girls were found dead by the creek near the trail and tracks they were playing on. After police looked through their phones, they found 2 recent pictures, one of Abigail on the train tracks, and the other of an old man walking towards them. After looking through their phone, police found a short audio clip that appeared to show the old man speaking to them, telling them to go down the hill. This man was the target suspect for years, but no one could identify or figure out who he was. That is until about 2 months ago, a huge break in the case with suspect Richard Allen was taken into custody after police seized his car and checked his house and fire pit, but no real evidence has been brought up. The owner of the land that the girls were found on died in 2022, but supposedly gave a false alibi to the police when asked where he was on that day. Besides this, no real evidence has been given to why Allen was arrested, but the police obviously found something while searching his house. Luckily, the media found on the girl's phone was given to the public to help aid with the case. So although sadly they couldn't save themselves, they could have easily saved many others. Armin Miwa's dinner date refers to a man named Armin, who was a part of a website that was filled with people who had a fetish with cannibals. Armin would visit this website often, sometimes chatting with others who shared this same fascination. Back in 2001, Armin started chatting with a man named Bernd Brendis. They ended up chatting for a little while and they both came to a shocking discovery. Armin had a fetish for eating someone, and Bernd had a fetish for being eaten. The two ended up meeting in an abandoned house where Armin killed Bernd and then ate him. All while he filmed the whole thing. This whole incident brought up a very rare case of love cannibalism, where Armin eating Bernd makes Bernd a part of him always, no matter where he goes. Armin was found guilty of murder and was sentenced to life in prison. One of the final words Bernd said leading up to his death was, "I hope you find me tasty." Richard Kalinsky, or known more for his name as the Iceman, was a man who confessed to murdering over 100 people. He was involved with bad people and crime almost all of his adult life and ran multiple burglar rings and distributed pirated pornography. Although only found guilty for 4 murders, Richard claims he killed more than 100. Richard died in jail at the age of 70 due to natural causes, and in 2012 a movie based on him released with the name The Iceman. Homicide at Midtown Marriott sounds like a creepypasta, however is very much real. Back in 2019, a woman was walking down a busy street in Alaska when she stumbled across something on the floor. It was an SD card with the name Homicide at Midtown Marriott written on it. She decided to take it home and view it. When she got home, she found picture after picture and video after video of a woman being tortured and killed. She immediately sent the pictures to the police. After looking through the footage, they could see a license plate in one of the videos, and after running the check, they found the truck belonged to Brian Stephen Smith, who admitted to not only killing the girl in the picture and videos, but also a few more who were all Native American women. The footage, for obvious reasons, has never been shown. Brady Oestreich, also known as the Craigslist Killer, was a man who lured people to him through Craigslist ads, and would kidnap them in his house and would torture and kill the people he kidnapped. Brady ended up luring a young pregnant girl and her boyfriend to have sex, but once they met up, Brady killed her boyfriend and then kidnapped the pregnant girl and tortured her in his house, all while his CCTV camera was filming everything. Police caught on and ended up finding Brady in his car, with her body in the trunk. Police started chasing Brady until he crashed into a wall, then shot himself before police could get to him. And although the actual killings and torturing of these people are not found anywhere, almost 4 hours of CCTV footage can be found of him in his home before he killed 3 innocent people. Mohammed Marah was a 23-year-old who claimed he was part of a terrorist group and claimed he killed multiple people, 3 of which were children. He also claimed that he filmed all of these murders. After police found out that he claimed he was a terrorist, a standoff between police and Mohammed broke out, with both parties shooting at each other, with Mohammed finally getting shot in the head. And although I'm not sure which crimes he actually did commit, if any, the fact that he had guns and did this shows his mental state, and if he hasn't killed anyone, it's obvious he would have at some point. Tina Isa was a young girl who sadly passed away in 1989 at the age of 16 due to her family killing her in an honor killing, which, for those who don't know what an honor killing is, it's when a family member kills another family member if they have brought dishonor or disappointment to the family. Her family thought she brought dishonor because of the guy she was dating. He walked Tina home from work, and once he left, they began to kill her. Her father stabbed her with a knife in her lungs and heart. What's interesting about this case, however, was her father was involved with a group called ANO, or I'm probably going to butcher this, but Abu Nadal Organization, and was planning to bomb in Washington, D.C. Due to this, FBI already had suspicions of him and bugged his house with microphones. Little did they know that her whole killing was recorded on these mics. And although used for evidence in the trial, no known remnants of this audio has surfaced to the public. I know I'm gonna butcher saying this name, but I'll do my best. The Dnipropetrovsk Maniacs was a group of 3 Ukrainian teens who went on a murder rampage, killing 21 people in the span of 21 days, and filmed almost everything they did. These teens started off as most serial killers do and would find stray dogs and cats, and hang them up and torture them, and then would write racist and satanic things with the animal's blood. Once finished, the boys would take pictures of them next to these dead animals to remember the thrill they got from these acts. After the teens got tired of killing small animals, they decided to move up and target people, with their first kill being in broad daylight, and the teens killed a woman by walking past her and quickly turning around and striking her in the face with a hammer. The boys continued to kill for almost a full month until finally being caught. After being caught, police went through their laptops and phones and found videos of their killings, one of which was posted and went viral, with the title of the video being 3 Guys, 1 Hammer. The video shows the boys laughing and joking around while holding a hammer, until showing them ambushing a man and killing him. They then laugh as they walk away from the body, and then wash their hands with a water bottle. Andres Mendoza is a somewhat unknown serial killer from Mexico who started killing people in 1991, and was only just arrested in 2021, after police found a dead woman inside his home. And articles of clothing bags and makeup that belonged to the woman also was found, but something much bigger was found too. While looking around his home, police found snuff films of a few other women that he had recorded. But not just that, but in the late 90s, Andres would start a butcher shop and would kill and then butcher women. He would then either eat them or sell their meats to other people. The known amount of victims he killed were in the 30s, with most of his killings being women, although he did end up killing a man and a child. David Parker Ray was a serial killer that was nicknamed the Toy Box Killer. He would pick up women who were working the streets and would take them to his travel RV, which was filled with items he used to torture and kill people. He would then take them to an unknown location and tie these people up and force them to have sex with him, all while he recorded everything. The reason he was given the name the Toy Box Killer was due to him calling his sex dungeon the Toy Box. It was a small storage container that he kept prisoners in, and would force them to do acts, all while he would torture them. Ray was sentenced to 223 years behind bars, while his accomplice, who was Cindy Hinty, was sentenced to 20 years and was set free in 2019. Maury Travis, or more known as the Streetwalker Strangler, was an evil man who would take street workers home and give them crack and then have sex with them. Then he would lure them down into his basement, where he would then tie them up and psychologically torture these people by making them think they deserve what was coming to them. And when they were finally at their lowest, he killed them and dumped their bodies on roadways. No one knew it was him until he got a bit too cocky and thought he would play a bit of a game. There was a section in the newspaper that was written about one of his victims. He then sent a letter to the writer giving directions to another victim. With the letter he sent was attached a printed map that showed where the victim was. After police followed this clue and found there was indeed a dead body, they found the website in which the map was printed, and got all the people who recently used the website's logs. Police found an IP address that led them to the home of Maury Travis, who was indeed the killer. They took Maury to jail, but no trial or anything partook due to Maury killing himself in his cell. Every time he had sex or tortured a woman, he would record. Some audio tapes and videos have been found, but some of his tapes are still locked away or lost. Leonard Lake was a man I actually talked about on a past Iceberg of mine. That is a very well-known serial killer with footage of his crimes being haunting and disturbing. Some videos show him talking to his captives, saying things such as, "If you don't behave, we will tie you to the bed, you, shoot you, then bury you." Another clip shows them talking to a woman about taking her baby from her, all while she pleads and cries, begging them not to. Leonard led a pretty normal life until he hit rock bottom. He then filmed himself having a breakdown, stating that he wanted to have someone he could use when he needed them, and then when he didn't need them, he could put them away until he was ready for more. And sadly, that's exactly what he set out to do. He would kidnap, torture, and kill multiple women through the span of a few years, all while filming almost everything he did. Leonard also worked with another serial killer, Charles Ng, who would also partake in these crimes. Lake was caught by police because police found a gun in his car with an illegal silencer on it. Lake killed himself by taking a cyanide tablet that he sewed into his clothes after being caught. And Charles Ng was not found for another few years, till he was found after shooting a store clerk after shoplifting. And although some videos have been shown, a huge chunk of these horrible tapes have never been shown, and never will. Satan's Sphinx is a supposed video that was made by the US government to be used to torture people if they viewed it. The story goes that one day someone was walking through the woods and stumbled across a copy of said film and shared it online. And although recreations of this tape are everywhere, the supposed original has never been found. Now do keep in mind, all of these are urban legends and or hoaxes, and most of these aren't real, so these stories are just fun to research and talk about. The Grifter is a supposed video that surfaced on 4chan, with people talking about how disturbing and scary it is, and how messed up the video was. And although screenshots were showed, the actual video was never seen or found until one day randomly the video showed up on YouTube. The video matched all the screenshots and matched the description people gave the video, although it ended up turning out that none of this was real, and the film was just slightly edited clips of a movie called Little Otek, which, when comparing screenshots, you could tell 100% that's where these clips came from. So although a fun internet mystery, this is not real. The Tanya Flower Day murder is an odd case, due to the fact that I can't really tell if it's real or not. Well, let me rephrase that. The murder did happen, but the supposed snuff film of her being murdered is an urban legend, and no one knows if it's real. The case has a lot of odd things about it, such as how there is really only one killer that was caught, but yet almost everyone agrees there were multiple killers at large. And with all this taking place in South Africa, where the justice system isn't the best, a lot of loose ends and questions still go unanswered. This is probably one of the only times this iceberg is lighthearted, but this entry refers to an episode of SpongeBob called I Was a Teenage Gary, that's centered around SpongeBob going on vacation and having Squidward take care of Gary. Later in the episode, Squidward gets pricked and turns into a snail himself, but what's odd is unlike SpongeBob's long and gruesome transformation, when Squidward turns into a snail, it's just a jump cut from one scene to the next, with a bubble transition, and most people believe that this transformation was cut due to it being too disturbing for kids. However, this has never been proven, and the biggest claim to why this is the case is because the bubble transition used was never seen in any other SpongeBob episode. However, this is just completely false because the same transition was used earlier in the same episode. Useless.avi is a part of a creepypasta that went by the name of Normal Porn for Normal People. The creepypasta is about a website with the name Normal Porn for Normal People that was home to hundreds and thousands of random links leading to videos with .avi at the end, such as Peanut.avi, which was a 30-minute video of a man and woman feeding tons of peanut butter sandwiches to their dog. Another video found was Tongue-tied.avi, which was a video of an elderly lady making out with a mannequin until the video just ends. Then there was Useless.avi, an 80-minute video that shows a blonde woman tied to her bed with duct tape over her mouth. You can tell she is trying to scream, but she can't due to the duct tape. After around 10 minutes, a man in a black suit wearing a mask opens the door, but doesn't come in. But instead a chimpanzee that has its head shaved and is painted red comes into the room. The man then closes the door. The chimp then goes into a frenzy and starts mauling the woman and ends up killing her and then eating her. Then the video ends. Besides recreations of a few of these AVI videos, nothing legitimate has ever been found. Oh boy, this is an odd one because, unlike most of these urban legends, this video was always just a myth. There was never a video associated with it. The whole 3 orangutans, 1 blender myth started on YouTube, when a few random YouTubers posted reactions to it. They didn't show any footage, and most didn't have audio either. Not just that, but depending on who you ask, the contents of this video is either horribly graphic, or honestly kinda wholesome. One side of people claim the video is 3 orangutans being killed in a blender-like machine, and the other side is just the orangutans making a smoothie. The more gruesome version is the most popular, and it depicts an animal waste shredder that is painted black, and a group of men forcing orangutans to fall into the shredder. While they get cut and crushed, the men pour things like salt and lemon juice on the animal's wounds. Then after all that, another man comes in frame with a chainsaw to finish any monkey left alive. Although very horrible, thankfully this video is a fake, and the whole story was made to either gain more views and attention, or just to start a new creepypasta myth. Frazzle Drip, or sometimes called Frazzle.RIP, is a supposed snuff film that stars Hillary Clinton of all people, who along with Ada Baden tortured and sexually assaulted a young girl, then killed her and drank her blood and wore her skin. This supposed video was found on Ada's ex-husband's computer in a folder labeled Life Insurance. If this was real, there would be so much more coverage. But on the other hand, this is technically politics, so I guess maybe it could be real. You know politicians, they love to hide things from you. The Pee-Pee Tapes is a supposed video recording that has Donald Trump watching 2 prostitutes peeing on a hotel bed that Obama apparently slept on at some point. The fact that this video is called the Pee-Pee Tapes is just so funny to me, and I honestly hope Donald Trump himself came up with that name because that would just be hysterical. And sadly, again, this is probably fake and never happened, but this is also Donald Trump, so could very much be real, but again, no proof or screenshots or even clips have ever been seen. Sakai Sanabashi, or Go for the Punch, is a lost anime show that centers around young girls who are trapped in a bathroom with no food, no water, and no way to escape. The anime was rumored to have been made sometime in the 80s or 90s, but no one knows for sure. Besides some basic info, not much is known about this supposed anime besides what it could look like and when it could have been made. The Ripon tapes first appeared on 4chan when an anonymous user posted a picture of a guy standing on a gravitational ride at the fair. After posting it, someone responded to the picture with a story of their own, saying how a guy did the same thing at his fair and ended up ripping through the ceiling and landing a block away in someone's yard. The whole phrase of him ripping through the roof became a meme for a while, with lots of people responding to other creepy and unsettling photos with the phrase rippin' used at some point. Besides a few pictures, this never existed as a video or anything at all, and I'm not sure if the original picture is even real, but definitely an interesting story nonetheless. Last Breath Studio is something I couldn't find much about. The only information I could find was on a Reddit post asking what people's favorite lost media was, and a user responded saying Last Breath Studio. Last Breath Studio was supposedly a Russian snuff film producer that would either help make or send out snuff films. Besides that, I really couldn't find much else, which is probably for the best. After looking for a good while, I could not for the life of me find anything about Enough Rope. I came across Steve Irwin interviews, songs, and a bit more. The only thing I could find was a Reddit post asking for a TV episode that asked if anyone had a recording of a TV show called Columbo that starred Peter Falk as a homicide detective, and this supposed episode Enough Rope was lost, and besides one upload on YouTube that was deleted, no one knows where to find it. I'm not sure what this episode was about and if this is even what the iceberg is referring to, but it's still lost media, so even if this isn't what the iceberg is talking about, at least I brought up a piece of lost media. McCamey Manor is highly considered one of the world's scariest and most disturbing haunted house experiences. It's basically a boot camp where you are basically tortured. You have to sign waivers and agree to be hit and hurt and bruised and yelled at, and from what I could find, no one has made it through the full tour. The participants have to agree that they could leave with broken bones, scars, and other bodily damage. And all contestants who enter don't have to pay, all they have to do is donate cans of dog food for his dogs. If you end up partaking in this tour, you'll be filmed and will be posted on YouTube and other sites. There's a theory going around that since the only way to get into this place is to donate dog food, there's no way he would be making a living off this. So the story goes is that he streams these videos to red rooms where people will bid to see what happens next. The proof people have for this is very minimum. The only proof they really have is when signing a waiver, you have to say that you're fine with being filmed live to people in Las Vegas and the Philippines, among other places. However, most people think this is not true, and although what he does to these people is pretty messed up, he isn't live streaming to red rooms at all. And if he did, I feel like there would be some footage floating around that showed these supposed red room streams. After looking for a good while, I'm sad to say I have come up empty-handed with this one. I definitely found a few different things with this idea in mind, such as how the Manson family is the reason snuff films started becoming a thing in the first place. However, I could not for the life of me find anything talking about the Manson family snuff films. Even after searching Reddit, Google, and YouTube, I came up empty-handed. So if anyone knows what this could be referring to, please leave a comment and I'll be sure to read it. After looking up Mark L. Rosen, I found a man who has been working with movies for over 40 years, and when I looked up the phrase Mark L. Rosen's story, I kept being taken to a documentary. It was a documentary about snuff films, where he was an executive producer on it, and the snuff film documentary was titled Snuff, a documentary about killing on camera. And I watched the whole thing and still came back empty-handed. Maybe I dozed off because it was a bit boring, but I could not find anything in the documentary that was related to Mark's story. So unless the iceberg is referring to this documentary in general, I'm empty-handed on this one too. So again, if you have any ideas what this could be, definitely let me know in the comments.
He put a plastic bag over her head, and you could tell she was going, like that. He took his right arm was like that originally, and then he moved over and took his left arm across and under her chin, and all of a sudden out of nowhere, his right arm comes there with the buck knife. He sticks her here, and he goes like that. Couldn't have been special effects. It was just too real.
After all this talk about snuff films and murders, it's nice to talk about some good old-fashioned poo-poo caca. Before I explain what this incident is, I must first talk about what the brown note is. Apparently, there's a musical note or tone that when heard mostly by children, it will make people poop themselves. So supposedly what happened was during a Brazilian broadcast of SpongeBob, this note played and then the show was immediately cut due to a handful of parents calling in to claim that their kids pooped themselves after hearing the sound. Depending on who you ask, the brown note is real and fake. The Mythbusters proved it was fake, but some people claim that they actually did prove it was real but were forced to cover this up and say it was fake. Now, do I believe any of this? Absolutely not. Obviously, there's no such thing as a sound or a cue to make you crap yourself. That's just completely absurd. So now that we're at the end of this video, I just want to thank you guys all so much for watching this video. It truly means the world to me. Whether you watch the full thing or skip through or whatever else there is, thank you. With this Iceberg video, I wanted to go for a bit of a different approach with the music and editing style. So let me know if I should stick with this style or revert kind of back to my old Iceberg style. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you have any questions or recommendations for future videos, that would be great. If you would comment and let me know any ideas or questions regarding future or past videos, or even this one, please do. I hope you guys enjoyed this Dark Lost Media Iceberg, and I hope all of you guys have a great day or night. And if this is the last time you come across my channel, I hope you have a great life. Thank you guys so much for watching.